Well, if it's not the new third generation 2026 Mazda CX-5 family SUV. It's just landed in Australia and it's got lots of cool new stuff, except one crucial element, a hybrid powertrain, and that is not coming for at least another 12 months. Could be mid-2027, could be late 2027. Meanwhile, the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, the Nissan X-Trail, yep, you guessed it, hybrid. Three of the biggest names in the segment, all electrified, all on sale right now. Now, not everybody wants a hybrid, but carsales' own internal data shows a huge search spike for hybrid vehicles, and the national sales figures are backing this up. So I've been crunching the numbers, and here's the burning question. Is the 2026 CX-5 good enough to beat its hybrid rivals on everything else? Because in one way, it is a lot cheaper than those vehicles. I've been driving it for the last week. Grocery runs, school drop-off, and one rather entertaining mountain blast. Real fuel numbers, a proper sticky beak in the cabin, and you know what? This is a good SUV. But will the hybrid be better? And this is the quandary buyers are facing. Do you pull the trigger now on the petrol? Do you wait 12 or 18 months for the hybrid? Or do you pick one of its rivals right now? On every metric that actually matters to buyers, can a petrol SUV in 2026 compete with hybrid rivals? That's the question I'm going to try and answer.
If Mazda gets the new CX-5 wrong, the consequences will be grim. The CX-5 isn't just another SUV in the brand showroom. It's Mazda's biggest seller in Australia and one of its most important vehicles globally. More than 5 million have been sold since its introduction in 2011, making it a cornerstone model in markets like Australia, Japan, and the United States. The challenge? Reinventing a bestseller without starting from scratch. Mazda is not a large company and it needs to pinch those pennies. Like the new Toyota RAV4, the latest CX-5 arrives with a fresh look and a renovated interior with more tech, but underneath, it uses familiar platform architecture and a carryover engine.
Mazda knows the CX-5 wins plenty of battles before the engine even starts. Brand loyalty is very high, and with this new model starting at under $40,000, it makes it one of the most affordable mid-size SUVs in the segment. This mid-spec touring grade lands at just under $48,000 and feels anything but budget. Indeed, on purchase price alone, this vehicle right here, spec for spec, matches and beats those three hybrids, and that is the Mazda argument, value.
An entry-level CX-5 all-wheel drive is now around $3,000 cheaper than the model it replaces and roughly $6,000 less expensive than a base model Toyota RAV4. On purchase price alone, the CX-5 beats every hybrid here. That's the Mazda argument. And you'd have to be doing extreme mileage to recoup the $6,000 in fuel savings when getting the RAV4.
But there's a catch. Toyota has hybrid power, and that could be a deal breaker for some buyers.
When it comes to warranty, servicing, and cost of ownership, the Mazda CX-5 lags a little bit behind.
The Nissan has a 10-year warranty, the Hyundai has a 7-year warranty, and while the RAV4 has the same 5-year warranty as the CX-5, it has very affordable cap price servicing. $325 per annum, about $1,625 over 5 years. That's very good value. I won't go into too much detail about what I think of this exterior design, but I will say this. From 50 paces, it doesn't look all that different from its predecessor. Now, that could be by design, that whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it argument, because this has been and still is the brand's best seller.
So, similar lines and silhouette, but with sharper details like the LED headlights and the LED taillights.
Okay, the engine. Ooh, lots to disseminate here, lots to compare to, but let's start with the basics. You've got the 2.5 litre petrol engine that looks like it has reasonable punch on paper, but in reality, it can be a little lackluster in certain scenarios. That's because it's been detuned and has less power than its predecessor due to emissions regulations, something it probably wouldn't need to do if there was a hybrid perchance. Waiting for this hybrid is going to be painful for a lot of people, and in the words of the great Homer Simpson, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos. Take a look at Mazda's claimed fuel consumption figures, and they're not great, 7.4 litres per 100 kilometres, and that hybrid argument keeps rearing its head. And in the real world, my figures are much worse than that. This is not an efficient engine. On a technology scale, this is a chalkboard. Hybrids are like an iPad. The hybrid versions of the RAV4, the Tucson, and the X-Trail are all more efficient than this vehicle. And at a time where rising petrol prices are affecting buyer behavior, this could be problematic for Mazda. Anyway, unlike the previous CX-5, every single model is now all-wheel drive, and that power reaches all four wheels via a 6-speed automatic transmission. And for the record, it drives pretty nice. This is where Mazda can claw back some ground over its mainstream rivals. It's the fancy pants interior, and they've stepped up the game from the previous CX-5. They've gone full minimalist, which in general, I quite like. I think it looks really good. This screen in particular, thin border, high res visuals, looks fantastic. Same with the digital driver's display, but they've pared back all the buttons. There's not many buttons here anymore. And I'm a physical button kind of person. Not everyone is. I'd love to know what everyone thinks. Leave a comment. Do you care if everything has to be done on the touchscreen, or do you like a little volume control, a little temperature control? Anyway, this presents well. This is good. And look, for a close to $50,000 SUV, it's quite well upholstered as well. Everything looks and feels nice. Even most of the plastics have a high quality feel. There's a couple of scratchy ones down here and in other areas, but overall, all the major touch points feel great. And it starts with this steering wheel. I really, really like it. It has really nice quality leather to it. It feels good. It's the right size too. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's Goldilocks, mate, just right. And another thing I love about it, the range of adjustment on this steering wheel is huge. This is really good. I like this because I have really long legs and slightly shorter torso. You know, everyone's got different body shapes and sizes. So having all this adjustability is very good. And like I said, the touch points are really nice. The gear shifter feels great. These padded armrests are nice. There's also some nice soft materials in the door, and it feels solid too. Just the way the doors thud shut. There is a bit of an upmarket feel here, and I think that's what a lot of people loved about the previous CX-5. I think they're probably going to like that about this CX-5. The new CX-5 is wider, longer, and taller than before, and you can tell it's got a nice amount of space, and comfort levels are really good too. The seats are nice. There's a little bit of bolstering, but not too much, so it kind of straddles support and comfort. And there's two different upholsteries on this mid-spec touring model, and because we've got this car very early and the press release hasn't even come out yet, I'm not sure whether this top section is real or fake leather, but it feels really nice. I like what they've done here. This section here is definitely some sort of synthetic material, but yeah, the comfort levels are great. It feels good. I have 8-way power adjustable seats. They adjust in a bunch of different directions. Plus, I've got 2-way lumbar adjust, so 10-way adjust if you want. However, the front passenger is all manual adjust, but it still has height adjust and stuff like that, which isn't too bad. Storage solutions in the new CX-5 are not too bad, but they're not class leading. Let's start with this though. This is anything that has butterfly opening is fancy, all right? That's just the way it is. And the storage box here is not massive, and there's 2 USB-C ports. That's it. I kind of wish there were a few more, but I do like how you've got these little channels here. So when you put your cables through, it doesn't pinch the cables. You've got the wireless phone charging port here, which is a slightly different place, but I like it. It sits snug, and I love the fact the key has its own little spot here. That really helps my OCD tendencies. Cup holders are really good, really strong, spring-loaded, and good size too. Gets my 1-litre water bottle in there. I like that. Plus they'll fit smaller coffee cups. There's a little incidental storage bit here. Plus the glove box is not bad. You've got sunglasses holder. Thank you very much. And a little secret stash down here. However, unlike the X-Trail and the Tucson, it doesn't have a storage area under here. It doesn't have that sort of much wider open section, which I feel like it kind of misses that. It can't quite match those models in terms of overall meaningful storage solutions. But overall, it's enough. All right, tech time. Now, the top spec Akira model gets a big 15.6-inch central touchscreen. This model gets a 12.9-inch central touchscreen, and it's still a good size. And what I love about it, again, is that thin border. It gives it a real premium look and feel. It's nice. It's like a high-end TV, if you like, in a way. It's cool. And the great thing is touch response is pretty good. They've got reasonable processing power going on behind this. And another thing is they've really upgraded what you can do on the touchscreen. I will get into the lack of physical controls in a minute, but what you get in here is impressive. There is so many different features and options you can go through. I love the fact that you can tweak the exterior lighting, the interior lighting. You can change the timing on it. There is a lot of customizability here, and it'll take a bit of time to get to know all this, but when you own this vehicle, it's going to be very, very handy. You've also got the little apps page, and there's an efficiency page that shows you basically, how fuel efficient you're going. What it doesn't have, which I find a bit annoying, is GPS satellite navigation. That would be nice. It's, if you're with, Optus or Vodafone and they don't have great coverage when you get out into the country, then your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto isn't going to work. Your mapping's not going to be great. So that is a little disappointing on this almost $50,000 car. I also like the layout, the way the menus work as well. It's very straightforward, very simple. This especially is a really good example of the safety screen. So even if you don't really know what all these things are, ELK is emergency lane keep, it's sort of, you've got a bit of an illustration of what it does and how it works. And when it comes to the safety systems as well, I love this. You can't see it, but there's a button down here. You hit it once and it turns off all the audio beeps and bleeps. This is fantastic. Every car should have this. I recently tested the Mitsubishi Triton Raider. That has it. It is such a good feature. Some people do want to hear the beeps and bleeps. It's such an elegant solution instead of having to drill through 1,000 menus, which all these modern cars have, to turn these things off. It's great. It's really good. So while this touring model doesn't have the high-end stereo of the Akira, it is still a pretty good stereo. And I love the fact that you still have graphic equalizer. You can still adjust the bass, the mid-range, and the treble to the levels you want. So there's good customization there. I like that. Oh, this is interesting. I like the fact that you've got privacy settings here. You can tell it which apps are allowed to use the microphone or not. In-car data is worth a lot of money. All these car companies, they know where you're driving, they know when you drive, they know how you drive, and being able to oversee a little bit of this, to know that it's not recording every conversation you have. Turn that microphone off. Thank you very much. That's a good thing. While Mazda has done a great job with this new touchscreen and the infotainment in general, the fact that it doesn't have physical audio and climate control buttons, dials, controls is disappointing. The RAV4, the Tucson, and the X-Trail all have physical audio and climate control buttons, and I miss them here because you have to do one click, then you get to here, then there's another click there to do fan speed. Like, it's not too bad, and I like the fact that they have got it permanently on the screen here, even when you're using things like Apple CarPlay. But it's just, it's a few extra clicks. You can't really do it without looking at the screen, and that could be a safety issue. If you've got your controls here, you're driving, you just go bang, bang, bang. Whereas with this, you have to be pinpoint with what you're doing. And me personally, I don't love that.
The steering wheel controls feel really nice. They've got a good layout, and these controls cover all the audio system operations and cruise control systems. So some of the physical controls that have been deleted from the center console are now available on the steering wheel.
Another positive with the updated infotainment system is that you can use this touchscreen whenever you want, and also your passenger can use it whenever they want. Something you couldn't always do in previous Mazda models. Often when you drove, it was locked and you had to use the dial, and sometimes you couldn't even use that. It was frustrating for a lot of owners and a lot of buyers. So being able to access this all the time, no matter what, I think that's a big improvement. Talking about the digital dash now, every single new CX-5 model gets a 10.25-inch screen here, and it looks great. Like the central screen, it's really high res. It looks really nice. It's kind of nicely integrated into this binnacle as well. And, you know, it's a small thing, but it makes a difference. It just makes it a little bit fancier. I like that. It's got all the information you need, but it's a very simple setup too. There's 3 different screens you can scroll through. There's the basic one, then you've got the one with the ADAS systems, advanced driver assistance systems, and then you've got this one with fuel economy, which we'll touch on a little later. But apart from that, there's not a lot going on, but you know what? I don't mind the simplicity of it. It kind of works. And you've also got a really good head-up display, which has plenty of functionality. It's got real-time traffic sign recognition, a nice feature. Most modern cars have this now, but I still love it. I think it's a great feature.
But there's no 360-degree parking camera and no native sat-nav on this particular model. You have to go further up the ladder to get them. The reversing camera is sharp and clear, but it needs more options. 2 basic camera angles don't cut it today. It comes with most of the safety systems that owners demand nowadays, and that goes for almost all models in the range, not just the mid and top spec versions.
First things first, and hallelujah, this is big. There is lots of room back here. It is significantly bigger than its predecessor. That's partly because this vehicle has a 15mm longer wheelbase. That's the distance between the front and rear axle. So that creates more space for front and rear seat passengers. I have a lot of leg room here. I'm about 183 centimeters. Plus it's wider by 15mm, taller by 20mm. So I've got more headroom, I've got more shoulder room. This feels like a proper family SUV now. The predecessor was getting to feel a little bit small, a little bit cramped. This is really, really good. I think this is a really positive change for the car. It's bigger. And amenity in this mid-spec Touring is not amazing, but it's not terrible. We've got twin air vents. We've got some good storage here. The door pockets are actually really good. There's a lot of room for bottles in there. How far down do the electric windows go? Not all the way. That's annoying. Will they cut my arm off? Don't try this at home. No, they won't. I knew that. I tested it before. People say I shouldn't do that, but you know, I'm living on the edge. You've got the fold-out armrest with cup holders. That's nice. You can get comfy. And speaking of comfort, the seats are really nice back here. They're contoured. The headrests are nice. This will be a fine place to spend extended periods of time. Road trips, not a problem. I do lament the lack of little reading lights. You've only got this little chintzy light in the middle. That's a bit of a shame. But otherwise, this acquits itself fairly well. Oh, one more thing that is missing, a USB port at the back. I do feel like USB ports should be democratized for every passenger, not just the front seat. So that is disappointing. And you can see the little bit where it should be, which is even more galling. Anyway, you've got ISOFIX points for the child seats, 2 of them on the outboard seats, plus 3 more top tether child seat anchorages in the back. The only thing is when you move to the middle, there's a transmission tunnel there, which you don't have on every single other model. And yeah, middle seat passengers are going to struggle a bit. This one has a power operated tailgate, but disappointingly, the 2 model grades below this do not get that. The good news is you get 466 litres of cargo space here, which is bigger than its predecessor. It's also 50mm longer, and this load-in height is a bit lower as well. These are all very good things. Now, its hybrid rivals all have high voltage batteries that sometimes eat into boot space. So you'd think, okay, this will have more boot space. That's a positive. But if you look at the spec sheets, the Nissan, the Toyota, and the Tucson all claim to have more cargo space than this particular vehicle. I'm calling bullshit. I trust those claims as much as I trust my mother-in-law's cooking. And what we'll do is we'll measure all of them side by side when we get them through for comparisons with this vehicle, because this does look bigger than the Toyota RAV4's boot. And there's quite a lot of amenity too. You get all the usual stuff, the 12-volt socket for tie-down points, a couple little extras like these quick release seat latches. I really like them. It's a really easy way to fold down the seats from the rear. You've got this really good cargo blind, but unlike the RAV4, for instance, there's no little spot under here to store it, which is a bit of a shame. And you've got a space saver spare tyre. I would have liked a full-size spare tyre because, hey, it's not a hybrid. But anyway, there's also a light there. And overall, it's a pretty good setup. Yeah, big enough for the family. Overall, I really quite like this longer, wider CX-5, and especially its upmarket interior fit out. But how does it drive? Spoiler alert, pretty good. First, let's talk ride comfort, because this vehicle's primary use, the way most owners will use it, will be as a commuter, a grocery run getter, and a school dropper-offerer. Is that what you call it? I've spent time doing all of these things, and it is a significant improvement over its predecessor. The springs are now a bit softer, while the dampers or shock absorbers are a little bit firmer, which makes sense because while it absorbs bumps better than its forebear, it also feels more composed on rougher roads and more balanced as well. And despite being smoother and more compliant, it doesn't lose any of that really good body control that Mazda vehicles are known for, and especially the CX-5. I was driving the RAV4 only last week, and this vehicle rides and handles better than that vehicle. We will do a comparison between these vehicles very soon, and it will be a cracker. Stay tuned for that one. So the new CX-5 is softer and smoother than before, and it also settles quicker after going over big bumps, and especially like speed humps and things like that. You don't feel those bumps as much, but you do hear them. And that's probably the only criticism of the chassis. You can get a bit of noise coming through over bigger bumps, but that's not really an issue with the suspension per se. That's more NVH, noise, vibration, harshness. That's a lack of sound damping in the cabin, if you like. The setup is lovely. It's well weighted, it's communicative, and again, the steering wheel itself is just lovely to interact with. It feels good. It's a great size, it's got a premium feel. Mazda clearly spent a bit of time and effort making this the way they wanted it. And for the most part, this CX-5 feels like a polished and resolved vehicle. Even the beeps and bleeps, the nannies that you can mute altogether, even if you leave them on, they're actually really quite subtle and just chill out in the background. Yep, the new CX-5 is composed, capable, and very easy to live with in most scenarios, which makes the powertrain such a shame to talk about. Generally speaking, it's lackluster. The 6-speed auto is smooth enough, and it's geared in a way that the first two ratios give it a pretty zippy feel. It's pretty punchy off the line. The gear shifts aren't lightning quick, but they're agreeable, no drama. The problem is what happens next when you're up to speed on the freeway, for instance, or you need to overtake on an 80km/h road. The engine runs out of ideas. It lacks torque, it lacks thrust, it lacks mid-range grunt, the kind of attribute that makes everyday driving effortless. And when you push it, this aging 4-cylinder petrol engine lets you know about it quite vocally. This engine works well in the Mazda 3, but that is a considerably lighter car. In this bigger, heavier CX-5 SUV, it feels underdone. All three hybrid rivals have more grunt and pull smoother as a result. And with the RAV4 now being fully hybrid across the range, this CX-5 has a lot of catching up to do. The fuel economy reflects that too. The official claim is around 7 litres per 100 kilometres, but after almost a week of testing in my daily life, all the usual things that a father of 3 would do, we're looking at just over 10 litres per 100 kilometres. That is not great. This CX-5 is sorely crying out for a more advanced powertrain, for some electric assistance, and I really hope that Mazda Australia can expedite the hybrid powertrain into Australia. It needs it. But here's the thing, the driving package has real promise, a lot of it. This is a very nice car to drive and a significant improvement over its predecessor. The CX-5 is simply more fun to drive than its rivals. It changes direction confidently, it doesn't wallow when you go through corners, and despite being more comfortable than before, it still feels dynamic when the road gets interesting. On a blast through a winding and very wet mountain road to test the vehicle's dynamics, it felt tied down and agile. It didn't feel like it was sketchy at all. It was quite entertaining, to be honest. Mazda didn't have to engineer this level of dynamic competence into its family SUV, but I'm glad they did. It's got better steering than the Tucson, it's lighter on its feet than the X-Trail, and it's far more engaging to drive than the RAV4. So here's the verdict. If your commute is mostly corners, the Mazda wins. But if it's mostly traffic lights, then the hybrid quandary starts to become very real.
So, can you buy a petrol SUV in 2026 that competes with these three hybrids? And should you buy the new Mazda CX-5?
If you're doing low kilometers and love to drive and want a Japanese all-wheel drive SUV that's a little bit fancy, then buy it now. This can compete on value and running costs in that scenario. If you're going to be clocking higher kilometers or simply aren't in a rush, then perhaps wait, because in 12 or 18 months, the hybrid CX-5 will be here and it could be an absolute pearler. And if you need the fuel savings immediately and can drive a hard bargain at the dealership, then it's worth getting one of this vehicle's hybrid rivals. To wrap things up, let me say this. In most respects, the CX-5 shines, and that price of admission is very, very appealing. It improves on an already popular recipe that Mazda loyalists will love. Mazda has engineered something quite impressive here, but it just forgot to invite a modern engine. And its arch rivals are already at the party and all of them are electrified. Is that a problem? The answer really comes down to one number. How many kilometers do you drive each year? Figure that out and things will become a lot clearer. All right, now I'm off to play Hungry Hungry Hippos.